Before the academy, I worked for the Clay County Jail for 2 years, and then before that, I was a line cook at a local restaurant. I wanted to become a police officer when I was a freshman in high school. I had a kind of a mentor growing up through my church that I was going to, who was a police officer with the Fargo Police Department, and he took me on a ride along, and I fell in love with it, and I wanted to go do that for the rest of my life.
Before I joined the academy, I was an electrician and I was an Army Guard. It's always been something that's kind of been in the back of my mind, kind of why I joined the Army Guard, hoping it would kind of fulfill some of that, but kind of wanted to go a different route after that.
Before I worked at the academy, I worked at the Clay County Jail as a corrections officer. I've been always wanted to be a police officer entirely. I had a little stint at the bank where I was a banker for a while, and then I realized that working 9 to 5 behind a desk sucked, and I did not enjoy it. And then the events of July 14th took place, and that's what really made my calling that I was sitting behind a desk when that happened, and it made me want to join Fargo PD.
Since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be a cop. Originally I played football, so did that for as long as I could. But then after the football thing was done, it was just my time.
I worked 3 part-time jobs while going to school at UND. I did juvenile detention at the Youth Assessment Center in Grand Forks, as well as juvenile drug court and juvenile court. I've not always wanted to be a police officer. Throughout college, I originally went to UND to study wildlife biology, and then that switched to psychology, and then that switched to criminal justice and so on. So probably the last maybe 3 years or so, I've wanted to be a police officer.
I was a dispatcher for Sanford Ambulance, and I'm also in the Air National Guard as security forces. I moved here in 2022 from Michigan, also a dispatcher in Michigan, and then I moved here and then I dispatched for Sanford Ambulance. Always wanted to go into law enforcement all my life. I grew up in a law enforcement family. My dad and uncles are in the Border Patrol, so it was just a career path that I knew I wanted to go into.
Before I joined the academy, I worked at Spitfire Bar and Grill for 2 years here in Fargo. I nannied for 2 or 3 years, and I did roofing. I shingled and put steel on roofs for 6 summers throughout high school. Yes, I've always wanted to be a police officer. I always contemplated what I was going to do with my life. Every year it changed, same throughout college. I changed every single year my major. And when I was 16, I went to a career fair and I saw a K-9 unit, fell in love. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I was going to go back to a small town, and I didn't want to be an officer in a small town. Came to Fargo, graduated with business and marketing, tried a few corporate jobs, absolutely did not enjoy it. And this just kept coming back, and it was more so a calling from God, and I followed it, and I've never been more happy, so now I'm here.
Before I joined the academy in high school, I was a first responder as an EMT. I really liked that, figured the next step would be nursing. I went to nursing school at Ball State and realized that I wanted to go back to the first responder life. So I left nursing school, finished up with my bachelor's, and came to Fargo. As a kid, I did a lot of exploring just because summers I got pretty bored, so I went to a lot of law camps. I went to an Indiana State Police camp, got really into science in school, liked how you could fix problems in nursing or as an EMT. But I think that human connection that you can have and sort of a more direct impact, more proactive in policing as reactive as an EMT or in the nursing field. So I wanted to see if I could have a more direct, proactive impact on people as opposed to just stitching them up and reacting as they come into the emergency room.
Before I joined the academy, my career was just being a college student. Right before I graduated college, I knew that I wanted to be in law enforcement. Didn't know quite where yet. And then Fargo gave me a great opportunity, and I ended up coming to Fargo about 2 years after graduating college. Growing up, I actually wanted to be a soccer player, and then that didn't work out. I knew that I was going to want to be in law enforcement because I had a pretty bad injury from soccer and football at once, and I fell in love with the crime shows, and I was like, well, maybe this is a sign that, I'm watching crime shows at 10 years old. I love them, maybe I should get into this career, and then so that's basically what got me in this career, and I kind of known since then this is what I wanted to do.
Before I was in the academy, I was active duty Army. I was an infantryman, 11 Charlie, so I was a mortarman. Yeah, for me, I was either going to be in the Army for the rest of my life, or I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to just help people.
Fargo PD to me is the best agency in the region for wanting to help its citizens and reaching out to the community and being involved in the community. I think the social media here is a great tool that we've used, and being able to give information, educate the public, but also show the human side of law enforcement, the good things that they do every day. I think that's super important for the community to see that we're out there to help them, and that there's a lot of that we're people too, and that we're not just a robot, or we're not just wearing a badge. We're actual people that want to come help the citizens of our community.
Definitely professionalism and guardianship. From the get-go, we have made it very clear, like there's a very different mindset between your warrior and your guardian mindset. And I think that's why we chose Fargo, because our community really backs us and they know that we have their back too. And we just want to do what's like in the best interest of everyone at all times. But professionalism for sure. I guess that would be another area where I grew in the academy too, is like, we're not just students. We came in and we're being formed into officers, and we represent the community. And representing the community, we need to be professional and hold ourselves to the same standard that we're holding everyone else to.
Having a base at Fargo Police Department headquarters is amazing. You get to meet with all the officers every day. You get to know who your PTOs might be, talk to the different road sergeants, meet SWAT team members, and just get to experience everything it would be if you were going to, once you're actually going to start working here. It's awesome. And the TDU team itself is just fantastic. Sergeant Kristan, Officer Lewis, Officer Cassandra, Officer Novacek, all those guys really just show you what your possibilities are here in the police department and what it means to be a police officer, a good police officer here.
I've always heard really good things about Fargo, good leadership, and I think leadership's a very good factor to have, especially in a law enforcement career field. That, and just always seeing them out with the community, and obviously seeing their media and Facebook page and stuff.
I think that all of our instructors provide different input in areas that they're specialized in, and I think that knowing what information they provide in their real life experience, even in just Fargo, makes getting on the street a little less daunting. I think that we have real life examples right in front of us every day to teach us how they would do things, how we can do things, and makes the learning experience a lot more personable. So I think it's definitely helpful, and we also get to grow up in the academy with our future coworkers. So I think that's super nice to build a connection as we go in, as opposed to getting dropped off on day one and having to learn everything all over again.
I've never would have guessed been as close as we are. The first day is a little weird, but people immediately started clicking. I mean, within the first week, we were all pretty close, and now it's we're just a family. We've gone out, we've gone to dinner together, we've played pool together. Tonight we're gonna go celebrate one of our classmates' birthdays. So it's just stuff like that is something I did not expect, especially, moving from so far away. Especially, kind of just being different, adjusting to how people talk here. People are just a little different than what I'm used to, but being as close as we are, it's perfect.
Least favorite day of the academy was Taser Day.
OC was pretty rough.
This is me after being pepper sprayed, and I can't breathe.
Let's go. Taser, that was terrible.
Taser.
Pepper spray.
Okay, Tyler.
As Taser.
I would say pepper spray.
Draw your weapon, you got a threat.
I'd probably have to say Taser Day. I think it was a cool experience, but it was the longest 5 seconds ever, so.
Least favorite day was the day of the post. I was very nervous.
I would say Mace Day. That day sucked. Getting sprayed in the face and then having to do jumping jacks and squats, and then you have to draw and then order someone on the ground, and then you have to place someone in handcuffs and then answer 3 random questions, and then Tyler comes over with the camera and he's like, say your first and last name and say, hey, this is me after OC, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I need a hose.
I really like the area. I really like the academy and how it's in-house. I'm getting taught by officers how to be an officer.
They are extremely helpful and extremely welcoming. It makes learning here easier process, I guess you would say, from where I was coming from. And then being here at the department while we're learning, while we're trying to get into this process, it makes it, like I said earlier, an easier integration process, because you're around officers that are already doing the job. You get to introduce yourself, be around all of those people. It just, like I said, it just makes it an easier process.
I would say just being accountable. I know that TDU, they hold us accountable for everything that we do, so we definitely live out that value.
I'd say like I think a big thing that just always comes to mind is like kindness in this place, and like I would say respect. Respect is a big thing, not just for like the people in the police department, but for the community itself is just huge. Just seeing like what the badge means and like the respect it carries in Fargo, the city itself, it was kind of powerful to me. And just like when you see a Fargo police officer, you know you're gonna be okay.
I think that every day we put on the uniform, I think that it's super cool to wear a uniform that you've wanted to grow up and wear. But I think having a department that the uniform means something, especially when it's everywhere, is just expected of us. It's taught in the beginning, but at some point it becomes an expectation. And I think that I wouldn't want to work in a department that isn't upfront about what's expected. And I think that everyone in my class, as well as all my instructors and every officer here, is a good example of those values and a way for us to look up to them and show those values out on the street.